have difficulty falling asleep? Do you ever fall asleep during the day? Do you awaken frequently or for long periods? What time do you go to bed? What time do you get up? Have you noticed or has anyone said you snore? CBTi is typically a good fit when sleep difficulties have been going on for at least 3 months, especially when we can see that certain habits or thought patterns are keeping the insomnia going. It also works best when someone is able to follow a bit of structure, like tracking sleep with logs and sticking to a consistent schedule. At the same time, we want to be thoughtful and possibly modify the approach if sleep problems are being driven by an untreated medical sleep disorder. If there's instability related to something like bipolar disorder, or if it feels like there just isn't enough bandwidth right now to follow through with the behavioral pieces. This approach is contraindicated for obstructive sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement disorder, alcohol, cannabis, stimulants affecting sleep, narcolepsy, idiopathic hypersomnia, and bipolar disorder. Sleep restriction, a core CBTi tool, can trigger hypomania/mania, destabilize mood. Spielman's first factor is what is predisposing. These are the baseline traits that make someone more likely to develop insomnia: high anxiety or wired nervous system, light sleeper/easily disrupted sleep, tendency to ruminate or overthink, family/genetic vulnerability. Sleep-related stress reactivity equals how easily someone's sleep system gets disrupted under stress. This is your baseline wiring: anxiety sensitivity, hyperarousal, light sleeper. Some people's nervous systems are just more sleep fragile. Spielman's second factor is what is precipitating, the trigger. These are the events that start the insomnia: stress, relationship, work, loss, illness or pain, travel or schedule disruption, acute anxiety, or depressive episode. This is usually when sleep first breaks down. A specific stressor, loss, illness, work stress, disrupts sleep. It's not just the event, it's the appraisal plus coping response that kicks off insomnia. The third factor is what is perpetuating insomnia, what keeps it going. These are the habits and thought patterns that maintain insomnia long after the trigger is gone. Sleeping in or irregular schedules, napping to compensate, spending excessive time in bed, clock watching, performance anxiety about sleep, trying too hard to sleep. This is the engine of chronic insomnia and the main target of CBTi. Trouble falling asleep is called sleep onset insomnia and is often associated with stress and anxiety, where worries of an overactive mind hinder falling asleep. Trouble with waking through the night is referred to as middle or sleep maintenance insomnia. Difficulty staying asleep can be related to health or medical conditions such as sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, etc. Trouble with waking up too early is called late or terminal insomnia. Waking up too early when you can't get back to sleep is often linked to depression, particularly melancholic depression. Trouble with being sleepy during the day and trouble waking up is referred to as excessive daytime sleepiness or hypersomnia. Some of the tools used in CBTi include sleep hygiene or behavior change, and stimulus control or environment change, and sleep restriction or schedule change. Sleep hygiene is about what you do during the day and evening that affects your ability to sleep at night. Sleep environment. A comfortable and consistent sleep environment plays an important supporting role in helping the body settle into sleep more easily. Most people sleep best in a slightly cool room as the body naturally lowers its core temperature at night to initiate sleep. Keeping the space dark using blackout curtains, dim lighting, or an eye mask supports the brain's production of melatonin, the hormone that signals it is time to sleep. Minimizing noise is also important. This may involve using earplugs, white noise, or a fan to create a steady, non-disruptive sound that masks sudden disturbances. The goal is to create a space that feels calm, predictable, and associated with rest, reducing unnecessary stimulation that can keep the brain alert. Lifestyle habits. Several daily habits and substances can significantly impact sleep quality, especially when used later in the day. Caffeine and nicotine are both stimulants that can interfere with the ability to fall asleep and stay asleep, so reducing or avoiding them in the afternoon and evening is recommended. Although alcohol may initially make a person feel sleepy, it tends to disrupt deeper stages of sleep and can lead to more nighttime awakenings. Regular exercise is beneficial for sleep overall, but vigorous activity too close to bedtime may be activating for some individuals. A light snack before bed can be helpful if hunger interferes with sleep, but large meals, sugary foods, or chocolate are best avoided. Similarly, limiting fluid intake in the evening can reduce nighttime awakenings to use the bathroom. Together, these habits help create internal conditions that are more supportive of steady, restorative sleep. Over time, people with insomnia often teach their brain that the bed is a place for being awake, stressed, or trying to sleep unsuccessfully. Stimulus control reverses that. We are skipping Rule 1 from Jack D. Edinger PhD to save it for the next category. Rule 2. While in bed, you should avoid doing things that you do when you are awake. Do not read, watch TV, eat, study, use the phone, or do other things that require you to be awake while you're in bed. If you frequently use your bed for activities other than sleep, you are unintentionally training yourself to stay awake in bed. If you avoid these activities while in bed, your bed will eventually become a place where it is easy to go to sleep and stay asleep. Sexual activity is the only exception to this rule. Rule 3. Never stay in bed, either at the beginning of the night or during the middle of the night, for extended periods without being asleep. Long periods of being awake in bed usually lead to tossing and turning, becoming frustrated, or worrying about not sleeping. These reactions, in turn, make it more difficult to fall asleep. Also, if you lie in bed awake for long periods, you are training yourself to be awake in bed. When sleep does not come on or return quickly, it is best to get up, go to another room, and only return to bed when you feel sleepy enough to fall asleep quickly. Generally speaking, you should get up if you find yourself awake for 20 minutes or so and you do not feel as though you are about to go to sleep. Rule 4. Do not worry. Mull over your problems. Plan future events or do other thinking while in bed. These activities are bad mental habits. If your mind seems to be racing or you can't seem to shut off your thoughts, get up and go to another room until you can return to bed without this thinking interrupting your sleep. If this disruptive thinking occurs frequently, you may find it helpful to routinely set aside a time early each evening to do the thinking, problem solving, and planning you need to do. If you start this practice, you probably will have fewer intrusive thoughts while you are in bed. When people spend too much time in bed trying to sleep, it actually makes sleep more fragmented. Sleep restriction tightens the schedule so the body builds stronger sleep pressure. Rule 1. First, it is important that you choose a standard wake-up time and stick to it every day, regardless of how much sleep you actually get on any given night. This practice will help you develop a more stable sleep pattern. Changes in your sleep-wake schedule can disturb your sleep. In fact, your irregular wake-up time can create the type of sleep problem that occurs in jet lag by varying your wake-up time from day to day. If you stick to a standard wake-up time, you will soon notice that you usually will become sleepy at about the right time each evening to allow you to get the sleep you need. Rule 5. You should avoid all daytime napping. Sleeping during the day partially satisfies your sleep needs and thus will weaken your sleep drive at night. Rule 6. In general, you should go to bed when you feel sleepy. However, you should not go to bed so early that you find yourself spending far more time in bed each night than you need for sleep. Spending too much time in bed results in a very broken night's sleep. If you spend too much time in bed, you may actually make your sleep problem worse. We will help you to decide the amount of time to spend in bed and what times you should go to bed at night and get out of bed in the morning. Sleep restriction steps. 1. Track sleep patterns. 2. Calculate sleep efficiency. 3. Set or restrict time in bed. 4. Adjust gradually. 5. Stick to the schedule. Sleep efficiency equal total time asleep in minutes divided by total time in bed in minutes, then multiplied by 100 to get a percentage.